So today on the Priory podcast, we have our first technical director, specifically staging director, for the 2003 Soaring with Eagles / 50th anniversary of Thompson Blue Tour. We have with us retired Master Sergeant, also a First Sergeant, Kerri Brooks, 20-year Master Sergeant in the United States Air Force, staging director, Thompson Blue 2003. So please enjoy my conversation with Kerri. On you. Kerri Brooks, thank you so much for coming on the Priory. How are you doing, dear?
I'm doing good. I'm doing all right.
Where are you at right now? Give me a life update. Where are you at? What are you doing? What's going on?
I am currently in Rapid City, South Dakota.
Ooh.
Been living here on and off since, oh gosh, 2016, 15, something like that.
Okay.
Retired out of Hill Air Force Base in 2012. Went to college after that. Once I finished college, I realized that I didn't want to be in Utah anymore and moved back to South Dakota. Been here ever since.
What were you studying? What were you studying in college? What were you studying for?
Creative writing and photography.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
What was your future thinking? What was your future goal? What were you working
Oh, I had grand ambitions of being a travel writer.
Travel writer. I
Travel
could
writer,
do
yeah.
that.
I was going to travel the country and take photographs and write stories and all sorts of stuff. And life just kind of got derailed and haven't quite hopped back on yet. So
You were going to wax poetic.
indeed I was. But
Wow. All
one of
right.
these days, yeah, I had one article published and that was about it.
Oh,
So yeah,
wow. So you're a published author.
once, one
Oh,
once.
it's on the
But
books.
hey,
It's on the books, right?
I got paid. I got paid like $250 for it, but hey, it's something. So yeah.
Turn my little iPhone off here. That's rude. My iPhone's on.
Oh, how dare you? At least I silenced mine. So
Yeah, I thought I did mine. Apparently not.
yeah.
All right. So let's talk about Thompson Blue and Thompson Blue adjacent stuff here.
Okay.
When did you first see your first show?
Um. Oh. Oi. Okay.
To refresh
Wow.
your memory, you toured in 2003.
Right. I'm jumping on the Wayback Machine. It would have to be way, way, way back. Probably early 90s, maybe 93, 93, 94, something like that.
So 93 was my tour.
Yep.
Obviously, I wasn't memorable.
Uh, what was your name again?
93, 93, maybe 94.
Right.
So after you saw this show, did you think, oh my God, I want to do that? Or was it just like one time I saw it, then you moved on?
It was a one-time thing. You know, it might, gosh, I don't even remember. It didn't really stick with me until I was in Korea. Is that right? When did it stick with me? It had to have been Korea. It stuck with me in Korea because I saw them and I volunteered and I remembered thinking, well, this is like the stuff I used to do when I was in college before I joined the Air Force, because I had initially wanted to be a tech theater major. Well, I had declared tech theater major. Um, and when I volunteered for it, I'm like, well, this is like what the tech theater major I was doing before I joined.
Mhm.
I could do this for a year. Heck yeah, I could do this. And oh gosh, what was her name? She's the female tech director, not tech director, female staging director the year prior to mine. Um,
Not Jenny.
Not Jenny. Began with a Mara Moira, uh, short Hispanic girl. Oh gosh, I want to say Moira, but I'm not sure that was it.
Somebody will help us out. Somebody will let me know. Hey, that was
Yeah.
me. We'll get that on somebody will mention that on
Somebody
YouTube.
will,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, I worked with her on her crew, and she was fantastic. She was great, and I'm like, I can do this. This would be easy. The simple stuff I could do this.
Yeah.
So when I got back to my base after Korea, I applied for it, and well, I got it, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So, and it wasn't easy,
Yeah. No kidding.
but it was just like the tech theater thing that I expected it to be. So,
So so your
yeah.
path. So you toured in 2003. You put your application in that year, or 2002, or years before.
No, I put it in for 2003.
Did you put in specifically for staging, or
Yeah.
just really straight to
Yeah.
staging? Huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. I can't sing and dance. I mean, that
Well,
wasn't.
yeah, but I didn't know if you wanted to go into audio or lighting or anything. But you would. Yeah.
I think I might have partially put in for. I think I put in for staging or lighting, but staging. Well, that was the year that Brent was there as well, and Brent is like a lighting god, so he got that way over what I did.
Yeah.
He was more qualified,
Yeah.
by far more qualified.
Right.
So, and Matt Flowers was there too, and Matt was,
Yeah.
Matt, you know. Um,
Well, saying. Yeah.
so it was just easier for me to me take hammer, me build set. Okay, so, cool. Yeah, yeah,
So you put your application in.
yep,
You got the call.
yep,
Come to Worldwide. Of course, you're not
yep.
selected. You're just going to Worldwide to hope to be selected.
Right.
So when you got to Worldwide, what was when you went to openings? I mean, you got there before opening ceremonies, right? Or did you?
I don't remember.
I mean, but you were at opening ceremonies, right?
Yeah.
What do you remember about opening ceremonies? Because usually that's a big moment of holy crapness to a lot of people. Do you remember that moment when you walked in for the opening ceremonies?
I remember thinking, well, these are a lot of performers, realizing that these are performers and I am not one of them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I knew who the technicians were and I knew who the performers were. There
Right.
was a distinct difference.
So if I remember right, though, you helped us build the opening ceremony stuff, right?
Probably.
Yeah, I think you were there. No, I'm sure you were. You were there when we built put all the rags up, the drapes, and built the stage and blah blah blah.
Probably. I don't remember, but
I don't remember. Yeah, it
that was a long time ago.
was a long time ago. Well, I mean, you were on the 50th anniversary of the Air Force tour.
Hmm.
I was on the 40th anniversary. I'm sorry, 50th anniversary Tops and Blue tour.
Right.
I was on the 40th anniversary Tops and Blue tour. Um, you were, and I didn't know this, and you made the point when we chatted before. I didn't realize it was called Soaring with Eagles.
Yeah, I didn't remember.
So I opened up the definitive history of Tops and Blue book, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, all right, there it is. All right. So back to Worldwide. When you got to Worldwide and started getting into all this, were you expecting that intensity, or were you surprised by it? What did you think about all that during Worldwide?
I kind of half expected it because being used to being a tech, you just kind of get thrown right into, okay, these are tech rehearsals, build stuff, go do stuff, just work, work, work.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of used to that intensity thing. I didn't realize that it was an audition for me.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought,
You didn't know that.
I didn't realize it. No, I just thought it was, I guess I didn't really think it was an audition for us. I figured you sign up to be a tech, you're a tech.
Yeah. So you automatically thought you were in. You didn't realize you were going through. You're going to have to interview and do all that kind of thing.
Not really, no.
Oh, okay. All right. So continue.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. But yeah, I mean, I just figured that there wouldn't be that many technicians auditioning or whatever. I mean, it didn't make me, I don't know. I never thought that you'd have to audition to be a technician.
Right.
You just signed up to do it because who would want to be a technician aside from some knucklehead that wants to be a technician?
Yeah.
So
you automatically just thought you were in. So did you think like a few days into it? I mean, eventually did you have to interview with Tom or anybody else?
If I did, I was too tired to remember. I know we were exhausted.
That's a fair
Um,
statement.
I do remember learning to take cat naps in the bathrooms. We learned to take cat naps in the spotlight cases.
Mhm.
Maybe these are things I shouldn't be talking about.
Talk
Um,
away.
yeah, it's all over with now. But um, yeah, we got creative about where we could get cat naps because we worked a lot, or at least we were up in the tech theater in the tech center working a
Mhm.
lot, doing things a lot. I don't know what we were doing, but we were doing stuff a lot.
Yeah. So it, between the tech center and the Bob Hope,
Yep,
I mean that's where you lived
pretty much.
for that 10 days or whatever it was.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
yeah,
So when you got selected, so you get the worldwide.
yeah.
Um, did you have to go back to your base before you got selected? Did they let you know through your commander?
Yep.
How did that go?
Um, the I was kind of excited about it, but my base wasn't super excited about it. They're like, "Well, great, you get to leave for a year, and what do we do about it?"
Right.
Because no one was taking my place.
Uh-huh.
So it's not they weren't super thrilled about it, but I
Were
guess
you were you surprised that you got the call, or did you think you were in? Did you have confidence, or what? When you
I was
left
pretty sure,
worldwide, were you pretty confident?
pretty confident. Yeah,
Oh, wow,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So was it
Why wouldn't they?
I mean, hello, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So
I mean, I was kind of cocky about it because I had experience and I felt like I knew what I was doing. I felt like I had a pretty good grasp on, what
yeah,
needed to
but
be
I
done.
but I remember you being wonderfully humble during that whole worldwide experience. You
Yeah,
weren't you weren't like I got no sense that you were attitudinal or cocky or anything like that. You were just a really, really hard and confident,
yeah.
staging person. I mean,
Well, I wanted to do it. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I was driven to do it. Yeah.
What? So was your commander, wing commander, squadron commander? Who let you know? Did they have a ceremony for it, or just call you up and or send you an email? What'd they do?
Yeah, I got an email and I think my flight commander might have said something, maybe the squadron commander. They didn't make a big deal out of it. Um, yeah, it wasn't, they didn't make a big deal out of it.
Were they a little miffed
It
that
seemed
you were
like it.
home? Really?
Yeah.
When you got back off of tour, when everything was said and done, were you set aside? Were they happy about it? Were they just happy to get you back in your slot?
They were happy to have me back, but they were just kind of like, ugh. I the it was tough um, because it felt like here's this person who was out on vacation for a year,
Mhm.
um, who
Yeah,
didn't really know what was going on. Well,
yes, if you were a full year in Hawaii. Yes, yes.
yeah, it was a vacation. It was time off for a whole year. It wasn't 411 days of TDY with maybe 20 days off the whole time,
Right.
traveling to 32 different countries and no,
You
sorry,
know,
20 different countries and 32 different states over the span of that time or anything like that.
you
Not
know.
that those numbers are burned into my head or anything, but
Well, speaking of burning numbers in your head, you know how many shows you did? I do.
uh, I don't know how many shows, but I can tell you, I mean, I know how many days and how many countries and states, but I don't know how many shows.
160
Really?
as per that book.
Ugh.
160.
Wow.
93, we did 120.
Wow.
I mean, just to set you. I mean, that's
Okay.
160 shows is incredible.
Wow. Okay.
Incredible.
That's a lot.
I'm not even sure. I'd have to look in the book, but I'm not even sure another tour has done that many shows. That's just amazing. Yeah. I
No
mean,
wonder I'm tired.
it might have been a typo. Yeah, you're right. It might have been a typo, but I don't think it was.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
Ugh.
so
Yeah.
being it was an anniversary tour,
Right.
I mean, everybody knows it's been on tour, been in the program. You're always in a glass house, you're always in a fishbowl, everybody's looking at you. But being it was an anniversary tour, did you feel a different type of pressure? I mean, not that you had toured before to compare it to, but did you feel was it a different vibe in your mind because it was an anniversary tour?
I don't know because my experience is different because as a technician, I was backstage all the time.
Hmm.
So I was behind everything. I didn't get to have the experiences that the performers did.
Hmm.
I didn't get to see a lot of the stuff that the performers did.
Right.
While they were out doing meet and greets or whatever, I was usually back in the theater doing work or fixing things or repairing things or trying to go buy things or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
So they might have time off to go sightsee or go do this or do that or whatever, but I never got to do any of that stuff. So the pressure that they might have felt to I don't know, put on this face to be the anniversary or whatever, I didn't really see or I didn't feel because I was just too busy doing stuff behind the
Right.
scenes, I guess.
So just
Yeah.
out of sheer being busy, it just
Yeah.
didn't sink in like that. I
No.
can understand that.
Yeah.
See, we didn't have a staging director on 93.
Really. Really. Wow.
I was the bass player slash staging director. Our staging director, the guy that helped us build the stage, he was out for maybe a month and a half, maybe, and then
Huh.
and then
I
uh,
don't know.
I was the staging guy.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, everything got built up. We ops checked everything, made sure the motors worked, the stage came in and out, did all that stuff. I
Okay.
gave my brief before the show, what we were putting what, how we were doing things, and it worked. But we
Yeah.
didn't have the luxury. I mean, we had audio and lighting directors. We didn't
Right.
have a staging director. A dedicated offstage staging director.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we did have the lifts and the drops and all of that crazy stuff too. We were
Oh,
the
we're going
first
to
year
talk
with the
about
lifts.
we're going to talk about that here in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Ooh,
want
ow,
to.
my back. Ooh, oh, my knee.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Oh
uh, tell us about the stage. Tell us about the set.
boy. Um,
The theme, what it was supposed to be, what it was, how
what
all
I
the nuances.
there was nothing nuanced about that. uh, so we had the big set, the big everything was we had three hydraulic lifts were the main part of it.
Hmm.
And they were, I think originally they were meant to be able to go up and down individually, and that didn't work out logistically. And then we
Three
had
platforms.
multiple
Three platforms.
three platforms, and they're supposed to be able to move independently,
Yeah.
and that didn't work out. And then we had multiple backdrops. There was one main, and then I think three in front of it, and then there were sliding curtains on the sides. Uh, yeah. So when the show opened, we had I forget. Oh my gosh, I forget what all it had. It was like glittery white, I think, and the platforms rose up, and then something dropped. I don't know. Stuff was moving all over the place, but the platforms went up and down during the show. And then the curtains in the back would drop as the show progressed, and the sides opened. I don't think they ever closed. I think they just opened. But there's just a lot of moving parts.
Was there anything that like rolled in and out that you could move part of the stage forward or aft? Any y'all at all, or was it all that set in place and just went up and down?
I think it was just I think everything was set in place. I believe there was just up and down and droppy and slidey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a technical term. I like it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can make makeup words. So.
And what was the? I mean, even though you were a performer, you still should be
Right.
able to answer this question. What was the theme of the show?
The theme. Um,
Every show has a theme. What was your other than the anniversary thing? Was there a theme per se?
I don't know.
I mean,
If there was, I don't remember
my
what it was.
it was I I think I remember it being. I don't remember a thread per se of a continuity thread through all the sets. Um, so I actually don't remember. I
It
actually
was
don't remember.
fast.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
fast and patriotic. No, well, there's patriotic sets and country sets and Motown sets and
Hmm.
Disney sets and all of that stuff. Uh,
But the soaring with eagles thing doesn't ring a bell with you.
Not terribly, only in the patriotic part of it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean that makes sense.
Yeah. I know one of the backdrops was had eagles and patriotic stuff on it now.
Okay.
I remember that now. Yeah.
Did you
Wow.
when you got done? I mean, 100. I'm still blown away by this 160 shows thing.
I
When
had
you
no idea.
got done, did you? Everybody talks about the wall that they hit after tour. Did you hit that wall at all? Did you hit like 2 weeks after, 3 weeks after, 4 weeks after being so busy for so long, or did you sleep like for a month like I did?
Um, I think I'd have to. It's a good question. I struggled with some stuff on tour, and I think once I got back, it just got worse.
Oh,
Um, was not really a happy camper, and
because
I
you're
really
because
struggled.
you're, because you're off tour, or because you went back to work?
Um, no, I felt unsupported on tour,
Hmm.
and when I got home, it just got worse because I was even even more unsupported because people just didn't know and they didn't care, and nobody wanted to know what life was like, and nobody seemed interested in finding out what things were like for me on the road, and I didn't know how to deal with it, and I just kind of felt alone and miserable, and it was really hard. Um, and I kind of went into like a depression type deal, and it was pretty awful. Um,
So nobody at the base. There wasn't any follow up from the base about your tour. Wow, interesting.
no, and I'd go back to I worked quite a few worldwides after tour.
I was gonna say you worked a bunch of worldwides, yeah.
Yeah, but it just never. I mean, it was nice to see like my friends again, like to see you and
Yeah.
other priors. But staff didn't really seem to. Some staff was cool, like Miss Glow she was great to see, and some other staff folks were nice to see, but I never really felt support from most of the staff, which is kind of sad to say, but I just kind of felt like, and I mean, it pains me to say, but I felt like a used technician. I just felt, used up a bit. I was there
Like a hired
to
hand.
do, what's that?
Like a hired hand.
Yeah, like a hired hand. I didn't feel really like I was part of the team. I was just there to do the work, and everybody else was getting the glory, and I was just kind of there to do the dirty work that nobody else wanted to do. And you know,
Yeah,
um, it's kind of poopy that I feel that way because I know so many people got so much out of the program, and I'm happy for them.
right.
But I didn't get that aspect of it, and that's I feel bad about it
Well, I mean, they asked you to come back.
for
They
worldwides,
don't ask.
and eventually they stopped asking me.
They don't ask just anybody. I mean, they
I
just
know, but they stopped asking after a while.
a while.
And I would ask if I could, and they're like, "No, we don't need you." And I'm like, "Okay, that's weird, but whatever." Um,
When you
so
when everything settled down and now you're so when you got off a tour, what rank were you when you got off a tour?
tech
Yeah.
sergeant.
Tech sergeant.
Yeah.
Did any even though you had staging experience before you went on tour and got to worldwide,
Hmm.
did you did you think that the tour helped you any in your career or as an NCO or as a first sergeant? Anything on tour that you learned used in your Air Force career past that point? Like for example, for me, I could not anything in my house had to be organized. I could not leave. I could not have crap laying around. I had my other after I got up from a month's worth of napping, everything had to be. I became really weirdly regimented,
Yeah.
more than I already was. Did anything like that happen to you?
Unfortunately, no.
Really?
Yeah.
Nothing got taken away from tour.
Uh, the biggest thing I learned was to do the minimal work, to do
What do
the
you mean?
minimum amount of work to get away with whatever.
You took so once you got out of the rest of your career, that's the
That's what I struggled to get over.
oh, I got you. I got you. Okay.
So when I was on tour, I learned to do just the minimal amount of work to not get yelled at.
Okay.
Because it seemed like no matter what I did, I would get yelled at. So I learned to do just enough to not get yelled at.
Right.
Um, because I hated getting yelled at, and I just, I would do enough to not get yelled at,
Right. Right.
and that's not the right type of motivation,
Yeah.
you know. So, um,
Well, I mean, overall, did you enjoy your tour? Did you enjoy it, or was it, a tough love thing?
mm, um,
I mean, not many people get to tour the world.
true, true. Oh man, that is such a tough question. Um, I wanted to do it again just so I could have done it better
Wow.
because I think I could have done it better if I'd done it again. Um,
I hear that a lot.
I was not ever given that opportunity.
Mhm.
Um, but I, for the damage that it did to me physically and mentally, I would say I didn't enjoy it overall. It did a lot of damage to me.
But you weren't a quitter. You were gonna plow through it anyways. Was there
Well,
any point?
I had to finish it. I had to
Well,
finish it.
well, you didn't have to finish it, right? You didn't have
They
to.
they gave me the option to go home, but I wasn't going to. So, um,
Oh,
yeah, when I blew my knee out, um,
well, that's right. That happened while you were on tour. I forgot
yeah,
about that. Yeah.
yeah, we were on the road a month. I think it was about a month into tour. I blew my knee out. Um, thanks to those lifts. Yay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was given the opportunity to go home and have it repaired or just deal with it. And I opted to deal with it. Um,
How did that work out?
that did not work out well. I'm still suffering from that.
Right.
But that's on me.
Yeah.
So I'm dealing with it, and the VA is helping me out. So yay, that's good. But
Right.
um, and I don't blame the program for that. It was my decision completely. So and I was able to do medical appointments when I needed to, and they were able to, get me in braces and stuff like that. So that was fine.
How
Um,
did you, how were you a stay? I again, the sheer trooperness of this blows me away. How did you do that with a blown out knee?
I
Seriously. I mean,
I had a knee
that's
brace on the entire time.
well, still,
Yeah.
there must have been some level of agony there.
No. Once you blow it out, it doesn't hurt anymore. You just keep the knee brace on. You take your drugs.
Really?
You're fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I had blown a knee out before, so I knew as soon as it happened, I knew what it was. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's what that was. So,
Well, not that not to get too granular, but what was the circumstances of the knee besides the lift thing? What was going on?
um, I'm not really sure how much I can say. There was a sudden burst of gravity, and I landed wrong.
Okay.
My foot was pinned, and I went one way, and the bone went the other way, and there was a pop, and yeah,
Gravity always wins.
gravity, yeah, gravity and physics
Yeah.
disagreed. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I went one way, it went the other.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone thought that I had crushed my foot, but I was like, my foot's fine. It's my knee. It's my knee. But I will never think of Vacaville, California the same way again. But I will have you know that I was back in time for dress rehearsal that day on crutches, and I that was the only show I've actually seen from out front.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
Well, that must have been a nice treat.
Well, I was on painkillers, but yeah.
was, that was even more of a treat then.
Yeah, it was sparkly, man. I don't
Yeah.
know. Wow, it's like, wow.
There's a
So
lot
yeah,
of sequins up there. Yeah.
yeah,
Ah,
yeah. That
ah.
was
What was your
that.
favorite? Out of your 160 shows, I'm sure a couple of those were double shows, but what was your favorite place you went to, you think, that you remember?
Uh, gee, the inside of the base theater at no, uh, the
I mean,
two
you had,
places
I
that
mean,
really,
even if there was a few minutes of time off, I mean, I mean, you must have had some place that you were like, I can't wait to visit. And these got a little bit of time to see something.
yeah. So there's three places that stick it to two, three. There's like three or four places that stick out for me. The first one was Greenland. Greenland was cool because everything was blue. It was like a perpetual twilight there. Um, and I remember they had to put our plane in the hangar to thaw out before we could fly out the next day, which I thought
Oh,
was
wow.
funny.
Wow.
Um, then Iceland was cool because we had a chance to go to the Blue Lagoon, which is pretty cool. Um, Singapore was gross because I have a cockroach story. So
Oh,
I'll get to that in a second.
yeah.
And what else? Hawaii was cool, except for when the rental car got broken into and they stole all my CDs, including my entire collection of Genesis CDs, which broke my heart.
What?
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, I think Greenland was probably the coolest. But yeah, that was pretty neat.
What's your, other than your knee issue,
Mhm.
what's your craziest staging story about things that didn't work right or something you had to really improvise or, because all the staging folks, we all have stuff like that.
Yeah. There were a couple of shows where I thanked God for Matt Flowers.
Hmm.
Um, that guy is a mechanical whiz. He, if something broke, he was just like, and just fix it. He was incredible. So um, there was a couple of shows where something would go wrong, and he would just go fix it before we even could think about what was going on.
Wow.
Um, like power problems and stuff like that. Um, we had an incident in Germany, I think it was, where we lost power and we had nothing. And I think like half the show was a cappella or something like
As
that.
they say, the performers kept going though, right?
Yeah, I think so. And then I don't even know what happened. Just stuff was just going crazy. I think we got partial power up or something like that. But they were working on that, and I'm just trying to keep things
Right.
just moving somehow. There was another time in England where the anthems in the beginning didn't work, and Daryl McKeechin, bless his heart, started singing the British national anthem, and everybody
What?
just pitched right. Yeah, he just
Oh,
started singing it,
wow.
and we're like, "What? Okay, cool." And everybody started singing in the audience, and that was really awesome.
That's really cool.
So,
I'm gonna have to hit up Daryl. There's got to be a video of that someplace. Well, there
there
was no
might be.
power, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know. It was really amazing. I mean,
That's
just
amazing. That's
his
really
own
cool. Good
voice
on
coming up.
Daryl.
That was
Yeah.
cool.
Wow.
Um, then there was another, and I remember we had to figure this out. Something happened where we were late. We were late to an event, and we were late to a show, and we couldn't get everything set up. And I remember we're sitting on the bus, like mapping out what we could actually build on the set in time, and we're sketching out diagrams. And I had the dimensions of the set in my head, and I'm like, well, we could do this and this and this with the set and the pieces and whatever. So we wound up like fudging together a partial set that we could build in time, and we got that done. I don't remember where it was, but
That was one
um,
of those places where you had to give your staging brief to the team. Okay, folks, the stage is only going to be 8 feet high.
yeah,
There's going to be no front truss,
right, yeah,
that
four
type of
inches
thing.
wide.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
There'll be no costume changes. Everybody will be in one thing the whole time.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, But yeah, there's a lot of stuff where you just kind of have to figure it out on the fly and just roll with it.
Yeah.
Um,
But I remember when we get to, especially it was a really small venue like NCO Club or whatever it was.
right.
I remember from the staging point, well, I think from the whole cast point of view, every once in a while that the mini set where
Oh yeah.
that was like
Yeah.
it might as well be a day off. I mean, it was
Yeah.
that cool. You're like, oh
Give me the what? Yep.
yeah, all right. I've only got to put up one stool. I'm in.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah. The venues where we had no lifts, everyone's like, oh, thank God.
yeah,
Yeah. We would like pray for no lift sets. It was just we couldn't do it very often, but when we could, it was just like everybody's back was going, oh, thank God. Yeah.
yeah. It's a nice break when you don't have to do the whole thing. I mean, it sucks
Yeah.
for the audience; they don't get to see the whole effect. But
Yeah.
from
But it was so good when you could do the whole thing, though. I mean, it was just really, it was a magical effect when everybody comes up out of the wall and
yeah,
stuff. So
yeah, yeah.
it's
See,
pretty
on our
cool.
set we had, so it was a box that opened up like this, and
Yeah.
then there was all three platforms. Well, the drummer platform we cranked up; it could be at any level. And
Yeah.
then the guitarist platforms were we had to physically just change them between every time the thing closed up was the next set. So the box closed up, we changed all the stuff around. I moved up to the high side. Guitar player went to the low side. Whatever horn players did their thing. But there was no hydraulics. We had motors underneath the corners that opened up the box, electric motors, and the switches for the motors were behind the drummer or behind Roy.
Right.
So he was doing this a lot. Click, click,
Yeah.
and, so it would open up, or close, whatever happened. But hydraulics, you guys are spoiled.
Yeah. Yeah. Until it
Yeah,
didn't work
until it
or
didn't
until
work
it sprung a
again.
leak.
Yeah, until
Yeah.
a hose blew out.
Yeah. Again, that we had Matt Flowers to fix all
And
that.
Matt
So he
Flowers
was,
affected. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to
He
get Matt
became a
Flowers.
hydraulic specialist, but
Yeah. Wow.
yeah.
When you
But,
when you got back,
mhm.
I know you came back and worked worldwide, and I know you mentioned that you thought it'd be cool to do it again and maybe do a little bit better, take it to a
Mhm.
different level. How soon after you got off a tour did you think you wanted to do it again? Would you have gone on a 2000? Well, you could because you were injured. Would you have done a
Right.
2004 tour?
Not four. I think I wanted to do um, five or six. Um, but I think I wanted to go with Brent again.
Mhm.
Um, so I think I wanted to wait a year or two and then try again. Um, but for some reason, I don't remember why, but for some reason it didn't work out. But
Yeah. Plus, were you still at where were you? Were you still at Hill when that happened? 2 or 3 years
no, I
ago,
went back to Lake and Heath.
Lake and Heath.
Lake
Oh,
and Heath, yeah.
yeah. That was
So and then
Lake and
all
Heath was my
sorts.
first. Lake and Heath was my first overseas talent show,
Ooh,
1983.
yeah.
Not to age myself anymore. I need to.
Whoa.
Um, so staging, first one's in, last one's out.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? True statement, right?
Pretty much, yeah,
So when we got to Dover before we went overseas, I got shirts made for the staging crew. It said
yeah.
exactly that. First one's in, and the back said last one's out.
Yep.
So we got to the point, and again, I can relate to this because I was the staging guy. I got to the point where you can look at a stage and go, boom, 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 20 by 40. Uh,
Yep.
I mean, it just got to the point where you just knew where to put stuff. I mean,
Yep.
automatically.
Yep.
But did you have, okay, the reason I relate to this is because of the problems we had with dance floor. I want to hear about your dance floor stories, if you
Yeah.
have, and I'll give you mine.
Okay.
Did you have any problems with your dance floor? Was there always issues?
No, not really.
Really?
We I think we only had two rolls. Was it two rolls? I think we only ever used two rolls of it.
I want to say we had three.
I think we only had two.
Okay.
Um,
Black dance floor?
yep.
Okay.
We might. I'm pretty sure we only had two rolls.
What was it? Was the hydraulic lifts the things that gave you the most grief
Um,
from a
the
staging director's
drops,
point of view?
the drops were difficult because they didn't always want to drop.
Explain a drop for the folks who don't know.
Okay, so we had on the rear truss, we had these things made that had solenoids on them
I like where this is
that
going.
held pipe, like conduit pipe, that had drapes tied to them. And we had switches that would activate the solenoids that would drop the pipes. And they didn't always work.
Okay.
Um, we had to find solenoids that were strong enough to hold the weight of the pipe, but that weren't so strong that it wouldn't let it go.
Right.
So there's a bit of trial and error for that. And then you had to make sure that when the pipe fell, it wasn't so loud that it scared everybody because
That was my next question.
yeah, because it's falling from way up here. Because
Right.
the drape itself is only, maybe 6 feet long because it's only covering, from the height of the top platform to the
Right.
uh, top of the rear truss.
Yeah.
So we would have, what did we do?
Did you have a manual backup for that, where you could just like pull a string
Nope.
and really?
Nope.
So it either
Well,
worked or it didn't.
you could get up there and yank on it. But
Yeah.
if it didn't go, it didn't go. But
Yeah.
if you pulled the trigger and some of them went and not all of them did, then you just kind of like prayed that they didn't fall all at once or whatever.
So you had
But if
one
it didn't,
solenoid drop, you had one solenoid let go, but not the other one.
yeah, oh God, yeah. If that was the case, you're just like, oh shit, just stay there, just stay there. But if it didn't work, you just unplug it and just left it alone and just let it go.
Oh, so you would just
Um,
safe the whole thing.
yeah, he just didn't mess with it after that. You're like, all right, we got no drops, you got no drops, you just let it go.
And how many times did it work out when you after you did setup and after sound check and whatnot? Did you guys ops check that whole thing? We just put it up once and leave it and hope it worked.
I think we ops checked it when it was on the ground, and then we'd put it up. But once it was up, we just left it alone and just prayed. It didn't give us that many problems.
Like I say, it wasn't too epidemic, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad, but we actually didn't have that. We didn't have that many problems. We really didn't.
I mean,
So
overall, was it an easy set to put up and tear down?
it was time consuming, but we got pretty good by the end of it. I
What
mean, once people learned what their jobs were on the crews and stuff,
right.
it was pretty good.
Once everybody honed their skills, yeah,
Yeah. Once they figured out, and once they took pride in their little section of it,
yeah.
because a lot of people are just like, whatever. I'm not a performer. I don't want to do this or whatever. But once they realized what they did actually made it look good, then they're kind of like, oh, okay, well, yeah.
What was your final time for a setup and a teardown? What do you think it was?
Oh, yeah, I don't remember. I have it written down somewhere, but I have no idea. I want to say
Ballpark it.
Maybe I don't know, maybe hour and a half for setup. Maybe,
Wow,
maybe.
that's pretty freaking good.
Is it?
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe 2 hours.
that's still pretty good.
I don't know. We were pretty quick.
Yeah,
We were pretty quick. I mean, we had systems for stuff. Um, yeah, we were pretty good, and we had a huge crew too. I mean, we had lots of people on tour. So
how many cat? I could look it up in the book. I didn't count it. What do we call how many folks on the team?
I want to say we had 30 some odd.
Yeah,
It felt like a lot. It felt like a lot.
wow.
So,
Who are the tech directors other than you? Give me the names.
we had Brent Wenderlich, Brent. We had Brent.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. There's me. There was Matt Flowers, Jr. What was Jr's last name?
Was Matt audio? Matt was audio, right?
No, Matt
Was it?
Matt was just the tech wizard. He did all sorts of. No,
Was he the tech,
JR was audio.
who's
Um,
that the tech director? Who's your overall tech director?
Brent was the tech director and lighting.
Okay.
JR did audio. Matt was just tech genius.
Who 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 actually built? I mean, I know you guys. I know you were part of the building of the set back in
Yeah.
staging.
Yep.
Who actually designed? Who actually designed? Who was the lead builder when you were at staging?
I don't know. I don't
I mean,
remember.
do you remember? I
I
mean,
just.
I mean,
I think.
you guys just didn't wing it. I mean, somebody came in there. I mean, obviously Tom gave somebody the direction of this is what I want built.
Well, I stayed behind once the team went on the road, and I stayed behind,
Mhm.
and it was me and I don't remember Doug and I don't know. It was so long ago and it was so crazy and hectic. Because they hit the road with a simplified set that was just platforms and skirts and draping and stuff.
Mhm.
And I stayed behind with the walls and some stairs and stuff. And there's a couple other techs. Yeah, they didn't work out. Um, there's I don't remember. There's just other people there, but it was Doug. Was it Doug? I don't remember. I don't know. It was a long time ago, but there's other people there,
Okay.
and we had to fight through this thing, and I didn't know what the heck was going on, and I was just confused, and I didn't, I didn't really know.
So the set wasn't completely built,
Right?
completely framed out.
Yeah.
Cast went out there with a partial set. You guys
Right.
stayed back and tried to finish what was left to do.
Yeah. It was me and whoever these other people were.
Right.
Um, and the team is gone, so all these people that I'm beginning to be friends with,
Yeah.
they left, and I'm still back here, and I don't know what the hell's going on because they're not really telling me, and I'm confused and lost, and
Right.
I don't know what I'm doing or anything like that.
How long till that part of the set was released for the road?
I think it was like a month.
Oh wow, they were on the road that long.
I think so.
Wow.
It was a while. Yeah. Or no, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's oh heck. I missed a couple of shows. I know that.
So it probably wasn't a full month. I can't imagine a full month. I mean, maybe. I'm sure
Maybe.
somebody will refresh our memories.
Yeah, I know I met up with them in Wright-Patterson. So Jerry and I think, flew to Wright-Patterson. A truck met us there with the new stage. And I had to teach the crew I had to teach the cast how to build the new set.
Okay.
And I didn't know because I wasn't the one to really build it there.
Right.
And I'm like,
Right.
I don't know. So here I am thrown into this leadership role, like,
Yeah.
and they're looking at me like, "Who are you? We've bonded over this time together, and and it was
I can see where that would be a little uncomfortable.
it was awful. It was awful,
Yeah.
and I struggled, and it was really hard, and yeah, it was just
You plowed through it though. You got it done.
it was tough. Yeah,
I mean,
it took
Kerri,
some time.
the bottom line, you got everything done. You got through it, and you
Yeah,
did.
it was hard. It was really miserable.
Hard. And
But,
I will tell me if you agree with this. In my 20 years, we both did 20 years. That was physically and mentally the hardest thing I've ever done. Even besides Desert Storm or Desert Shield, that was the hardest thing physically and mentally I've ever done. Yes or no? What do you think?
not physically,
Really?
mentally. Yeah, not
Oh,
physically. No,
okay.
but mentally, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you realize I ride motorcycles now, so that wasn't physically the hardest thing, but mentally it was the hardest thing. Yeah.
Right. Wow.
But yeah, Ed Jones, man, I thought he was gonna kill me. He was not happy with me at all, and he scared me. He scared the crap out of me.
Well,
Then
you and Ed became friends, right? After a while, you guys became friends.
I hope so. I still don't know. I would hope so.
Ed, feel free to chime in if you see this video.
Please. I have a lot of respect for you, sir. But yeah.
We all
But
know
yeah.
that. Wow.
I mean, yeah, I think there was a moment where I was like, oh, he does like me, okay. But that wasn't until many years later. But yeah, I mean, yeah.
All right.
But there was a moment where I think Miss Jerry showed me an ounce of respect, and I think that was all right with that. But I just kept I felt like I had to fight for everything the whole time, and it just wore on me a lot. It really wore me down. So, but I don't know. Yeah, I did what I had to do, but I don't know. I just never. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
When tour was over, did you feel like a big sense of relief? A big, the hay bale was off your back?
No,
Really?
no. I just felt defeated.
Oh,
I felt defeated. I mean, I was happy that I got the medal that I got out of it. I was very happy about that, and I was happy that I made rank out of it too, which is cool.
mhm.
But I just felt beat down and just worn out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Understandable.
Yep.
Understandable.
But
Well, is there anything? I think I've covered all my ducks here. We talked about tour, talked about staging, talked about post tour, talked about pre tour. And here you are. You became a first sergeant, which I think
Yep.
is awesome.
Yeah.
Was that
I
the
had fun
highlight?
with that too. But
Was that the highlight of your career?
um,
Coming to first shirt? That's
at
pretty
times,
cool.
yeah, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So I guess you could say that I learned to fight. I learned to fight more for what I wanted to do. So there's
There
that.
we go.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I did get gratification out of being a first sergeant. At least I got I got there was some sense of satisfaction out of that. I could see the good coming out of it. I guess I didn't see. Maybe that's it. With the performers, you guys could see the satisfaction from the audience. You could see
Right.
the happiness from the people that you're performing to.
Yeah.
Backstage, we couldn't see that. We didn't get the satisfaction from the audience. We didn't get the applause, the happiness, the tears, all this. We didn't get that.
That's a tech's life. That's a tech's life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a first sergeant, I can see people succeeding in their careers once they get out of trouble, or getting kicked out or punished for things that they did wrong or whatever. I can see the results of the fruits of my labor or whatever. So, but when I went to first sergeant school, they're like, well, you physically can't do this, so why should you be here? And I had to fight to stay in the school.
Mhm.
They liked what I had to say, so they're like, all right, fine, you can stay. So I earned my diamond. I got to finish my career out as a first sergeant with a diamond. So there you go.
I never thought about that. So you went to first shirt school, you had your knee issue.
Yep.
And
I
they
can't
went.
run. They're like, well, you're first sergeant. You need to lead from the front. I'm like, you know what? Since I can't lead from the front, how many of those people out there, how many of those airmen out there see, the diamond person out front saying, well, that person doesn't associate with me. And I'm in the back one, you know what? I got you. I understand what you're going through because I'm in the same situation. Let me help you get through this because I get it. Then they're like, oh, yeah, okay, she can understand where these people are. So they let me finish. And I think I had a great career as a first sergeant.
That's a really good pitch. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I still, to this day, I have airmen hit me up on Facebook saying, hey, I really appreciate everything you've done for me in my career. And, you're a really great leader for me and stuff. So it's nice to hear that. But
wow, that's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, when you retired and I remember when you posted that you made first shirt, I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
But then I never put two and two together about the whole knee thing and all the medical issues that you had going on, and they waived it. That's amazing. How often is that? Do you know any other first shirts where that happened to?
Not prior,
Yeah.
not prior to being a first sergeant. No, not prior to earning. I mean, there's a couple of people that got hurt in school.
Yeah.
Where they couldn't finish, but not going into the school with one. No.
Yeah, because you had to pitch it early on.
Yep.
Wow.
And I actually had a command chief before I even applied to school said, nope, you're not. You don't look like a first sergeant. I'm like, excuse me. But I had a commander that fought really hard for me. And and he's friends. I'm friends with him now.
Oh, great.
And he really fought and put me in and got me into it. So I had to do it for him too. So
Right.
I'm grateful for that opportunity. But
Well, you ended your career in wonderful fashion. So kudos to you, kiddo. Yeah.
yeah,
You did all the right thing. You've been retired for how long now?
retired in 12, so 13 years.
10 years. Wow.
Yeah.
And that time went just like that, didn't it?
Way too fast. Way too fast. Yeah. But I do have one other story
Oh,
about the top
oh,
of the foot. This is funny. This is a Jerry story. This just makes me laugh. We're in staging, okay?
mhm,
And we all know about tops and blue ladies, how we
mhm,
have to be tops and blue ladies
mhm,
with the hair and the makeup, and
yep,
you have to be pretty
mhm,
and all of that. And I'm thinking I'm a technician, okay? I'm a technician. So the one day that we all go to get our hair done and the makeovers and all this stuff, and she's like, all right, now Kerri, we're gonna go and we're gonna do this, and I'm like, okay, fine. So they go and get their hair done, and then she's like, we have to do something with your hair, and I'm like, fine. So I get it like dyed red, like a temporary red, right? Not like bright red, but just like an auburn type thing. And she's like, okay, we have to get some makeup done. I'm like, okay, fine. So I get some makeup done. She's like, well, see, that's nice. No, you can just wear that. I'm like, uh-huh. So she expects me to wear makeup every day now. And I'm like, I'm in the tech center sweating every day. There's no way I can do makeup every day. She's like, well, you need to do something. I'm like, all right, fine. So I try like eyeliner and, some eyeshadow and some lipstick or something like that. And by the end of the day, I just look like a scary doll because it's all smudged and running and I'm sweating everywhere. And she's like, all right, well, maybe just try some eyeliner and some lipstick. And I'm like, okay. So by the end of the day, I look like, Courtney
yeah.
Love with it smeared everywhere and lipstick all over the place. And
Courtney to
like,
love.
right. And then she's like, okay, well, maybe not put so much eyeliner and,
Right.
whatever. And I'm like, okay, fine. I try a little bit less. And it's still just smudged and just looks
So
terrible.
you start whittling, taking things off the list as you go
Yeah,
along.
it's just doing it lighter and lighter. And she's like, well, maybe not so much this. And I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. And then the next time she sees me, I'm still all sweaty and smeared. And she's like, okay, maybe not that. How about some just like colored lip gloss? And I'm like, all right, I'll try that. And then again, it's still all smeared. And then she sees me with like hydraulic fluid on my face. And eventually she's like, all right, well, just do your best. So it got to the point where I didn't have to do anything anymore. And I'm like, all right, thank you.
Right.
And she's
Right.
like, well, can you do something with your hair? And I'm like, this is the best you're gonna get. I'm sorry. It's a ponytail or nothing. So even as it was, as soon as I get backstage, I'd take my shiny boots off and I'd put my work boots on and I'd have my jumpsuit tied around my waist and my work shirt on and everything. And it was just, you can't be a pretty lady backstage when you're a technician. It just doesn't work that
Well,
way.
plus when you're
Yeah.
120 degree San Antonio heat or wherever.
Yeah. It just, yeah.
And I did stage makeup for 4 shows. And I think that's pretty much all the band did was 4 shows, and we're like,
Yeah.
it didn't. We didn't like do a coup or anything. It was just like we just kind of gradually phased it out.
Right. Yeah.
I remember. So
You can't do it. You can't do it. Especially when you had the headset on and the mic sitting right there and it's
Yeah.
just, it's just,
Yeah.
no.
You come out looking like Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Yeah, no. Doesn't work. No.
All right, kiddo. Well, thank you for doing this. It's been great to talk to you and great to see you again. And blue love to you. And I wish you the best. And please keep me updated on everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And you got any before I go? You got any questions for me? Anything you want me to answer?
No, I'll be out your way in about a month or so.
On the opposite side of the state, though, right?
No, Latrobe area.
Oh, really? Latrobe?
Yeah.
That's a hop, skip, and a doo-wah away. Wow.
Yeah.
When's that?
End of this month, beginning of May-ish, sometime. I'll let you know. I'll get with you offline. Our people will talk to each other.
Yeah, have your people talk to my people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, kiddo. I'm going to let you go. Again, Kerri Brooks, folks. Thank you so much. Tops and Blue
Alrighty.
2003 stage director And a retired first sergeant, master sergeant, first sergeant. Good on you, kiddo.
All righty.
Kerri. Thank you, dear.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.